One of the first ever videos that I uploaded to this channel is titled The 4 Stages of Self-Improvement, and in this video I highly recommend to people that they focus on their physical and mental health first, especially when starting out on self-improvement, because I say that this is the first stage of self-improvement, rather than focusing immediately on building a business or getting into relationships, as those are the later stages that you can put your energy into once you've made your physical and mental health better, as these will give you much stronger foundations for you to be able to complete those other 3 stages a lot more effectively than if you sort of went straight onto them. And one of many people's excuses for not starting self improvement is that it can be too expensive for them compared to their current lifestyle. And while this may be true in a variety of situations, for the majority of the time, especially when you're just starting out, it actually becomes a lot more cheaper to be a healthier person. When you start to better your mental health, you live more of a minimalist lifestyle where instead of seeking gratification from external items and better clothes, a better car, and all that sort of stuff, you end up focusing and find happiness within yourself and become grateful for what you already have, and your mind becomes so much more at peace. And in the long term, because you're not spending so much more money on lavish luxuries and lavish items, you end up saving more money in the long term. And that's sort of the whole delayed gratification thing. But as well as improving your mental health, improving your physical health is much the same. And I'm going to use the analogy of sugary snacks and sweets, because when many people live off of this sort of junk food diet, they end up spending more money than what they normally would if they just had 3 or 4 healthy, balanced meals every single day. Because sugary sweets and snacks, I'm not sure if you know this, but they're not very satiating. They don't contain very many nutrients, and everything in there is either absorbed or excreted incredibly quickly, and it leaves you being hungry for more food an hour after you binge eat a load of sweets and crisps and snacks and stuff like that. And this means that you end up buying more of this sort of not really satiating food, and it ends up draining your money in the long term, despite the fact that sugary sweets in itself are a lot cheaper than actual ingredients for meals. But if you decided to eat more satiating foods like white potatoes and eggs and more fibers and meats, and you end up spending less money because you're eating a lot less food, but that food that you're eating now is just a lot better for you than the food you were eating before. And while this can apply to sugary snacks and foods, it can also apply to drinks. Many people like to buy things like Monsters and energy drinks and Cokes and all that sort of stuff, and this also ends up draining your bank account when realistically, this stuff you don't actually need. None of the nutrients inside of Coke are beneficial for your body whatsoever, and you can find them in much larger quantities, even if they are in a plethora of other foods that are going to save you money in the long term. And the only drinks that I recommend you use are water and milk, because these are pretty much essential drinks. And while many people don't like to drink milk because it's dairy, then just drink water, because realistically that's going to make you much healthier of a person whilst also saving you a lot of money in the long term. And that relates again to the whole delayed gratification thing. And getting rid of addictions can also make your life a lot healthier whilst also being a lot more cheap than your current lifestyle maybe. If you spend a lot of money on vapes or cigarettes or alcoholic drinks, if you sort of work hard to get rid of these addictions, you'll end up saving a lot more money in the long term. And as I said before, it relates to the whole delayed gratification thing, and that's kind of the whole entire point of self-improvement, is delayed gratification over instant gratification. And doing these and getting rid of addictions and becoming healthier of a person will make you a lot healthier, obviously, but it will also save you a lot of money in the long term. But the problem is, I talked about 4 stages of self-improvement before, and I've only talked about the first one. The second one in the video that I made earlier was finance and making a career or a business or like any kind of income. And the third one was sort of relationships and starting a family. And then the fourth one was actually health again. And this is where health gets a lot less basic and a lot more scientific. And this is where health can become more expensive. This is where companies have to make lots of like chemically unique and complicated products, which requires a lot of different processes, which therefore makes these products a lot more expensive. But when you start out, obviously you're getting rid of a lot of things from your life, and that will become cheaper. But when you're on this fourth stage of self-improvement, you're adding a lot of new things. You're adding a lot of supplements, biohacking techniques to make you live a lot longer. And this is obviously, you have to spend money on this sort of stuff, and it does become more expensive. Because realistically, hopefully you may have like got a good career or built a business or something at this point, and you sort of have the money and time to be able to implement these sort of strategies and these sort of biohacking techniques to make you live a longer and healthier life. And hence why I put it as the last stage of self-improvement, because it is essentially something that you will end up doing for the rest of your life. And while, sure, there are things such as a gym membership that do cost money and is something that I do recommend you doing like immediately when you sort of start self-improvement, is to start working out and improving your body, because a healthy body often equals a healthy mind. It's not, it doesn't end up becoming that much in the long term, especially if you sort of eradicate the other things like sugary snacks and things that you may be addicted to from your life. It will still be a lot cheaper. So I hope you found value out of this video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have stayed to the end, then thanks very much for watching. And I also recommend subscribing, because I love this community of young tribal people who are willing to improve themselves so much more than they already have. And good luck.